Alrighty, welcome guys. Hold on, let me make sure that stream is actually coming in all right. Is that full screen or is that just like a quarter of the screen? Huh. Hold on, let me refresh this. It looks on my end on like that you guys can only see like a quarter of the screen, but let me refresh this, make sure it's good. Let's see. Huh. Do you guys see the full screen or do you only see a quarter of the screen? For some reason, I only see a quarter of the screen in like my little picture. Let me know. Let me know real quick. If you guys can see the full screen, I'll just keep going. Maybe it's just an error on my end. Okay, you see the full screen. I don't know why in the YouTube live stream, I can only see like a quarter of it, and like that's what like it shows that you guys see, but looks good. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. All right, so welcome, guys. I hope you guys had a good night last night. For me, myself, I was a couple points away from cashing in tournaments, and I actually felt pretty good about that because I had no Fred VanVleet, who was about 20% owned, and I had Eric Pascal, and I was a few points away from cashing, and kind of a floor game from Damian Lillard, too. So, you know, I'm not complaining about that. Like, the Pascal news, I mentioned in the Patreon live stream, I was like, there might be a chance Steve Kerr trolls us and plays like Toscano Anderson more than Pascal. And sure enough, Steve Kerr did. You just can never trust those value guys for Golden State. Literally never. But yeah, that's enough for last night. So let's talk about this slate. And we have a really interesting slate. 10 games. There's a lot of different ways you can go. Like, I was narrowing down my player pool for Patreon, and I was like, it was hard for me to get to around 40 players. I think there's literally like there's a good amount of value. There's a good amount of spend ups, good amount of guys in the mid range. I think either build is fine in the slate. So I think I like it because there's so many different ways you can go, and I don't know if like one build is necessarily correct over the other. But yeah, going over news so far. So we got news that Russell Westbrook is out. We're still waiting on starting lineup news there. Hernan Gomez unlikely to play. Neto is still out too. So I'm guessing it's either going to be Ish Smith or Cassius Winston, the starting point guard there for Washington. Miles Turner questionable. Otto Porter questionable, not big news. Rudy Gay also out. We already have news that LaMarcus Aldridge is out. So they're actually a little bit thin at the front court because at times they could run, a little bit small ball with Rudy Gay. But with no Gay and Aldridge, it's going to be like Jakob Poeltl and then maybe like Trey Lyles. So like curious to see what San Antonio does with their starting lineup. The Thunder are going to be pretty shorthanded. They have about 10 healthy bodies. I think they look really good for value. Mentioned possibility of Kemba Walker resting. He is resting. If Jeff Teague starts for him, I think he's a decent play at 4-7 and a good matchup with also Peyton Pritchard out. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff still up in the air. Now we did get news that Terry Rozier is out and LaMelo Ball is starting for Terry Rozier. I think if this game stays competitive, LaMelo Ball is a really good play at his price. Miles Bridges also starting for PJ Washington. I think he makes for a good value play. I think we probably get, maybe a few more minutes for him. Maybe he goes above the 30 threshold. So yeah, Graham Ball, Hayward, Bridges, and Cody Zeller starting for Charlotte. Otto Porter ruled out, doesn't do a ton for me. Damian Lillard questionable for the slate tomorrow. And then Kevon Looney will be out for a couple weeks. So I think we're basically up to date there. Yeah, I would honestly not be surprised if he starts Trey Lyles. I would not be surprised because we've actually seen that a couple times. So going over the Vegas odds really quick, Pacers and Bucks is a 233.5 over under. The Bucks are 9-point favorites. This is one where if the game stays close on the Indiana side, you're probably going to see a pretty big game from either Brogdon or Sabonis or both. They are both pretty cheap, especially Sabonis. So if you think the game does stay competitive, I think getting exposure to one of those two guys is probably a good idea. 76ers and Hornets, a 224.5 over under. The 76ers, 7.5-point favorites. A little bit of blowout risk here. Mavs and Hawks, a 223.5 over under. The Mavs are 2-point favorites. Rockets and Thunder, a 222 over under. The Rockets are 7-point favorites. Both teams missing one of their best players. OKC missing SGA, their best player. Houston missing John Wall. Knicks and Bulls is a 218 over under. The Bulls are 2-point favorites. Clippers and Cavs, 219 over under. The Clippers are 9-point favorites. Wizards and Heat, a 227.5 over under. The Heat are 9.5-point favorites. I think Beal obviously looks good as a spend up here, but there is some blowout risk, definitely. And then Minnesota and San Antonio, a 223.5 over under. The Spurs are 8-point favorites in this one. Suns and Pelicans, a 222.5 over under. The Suns are 3.5-point favorites. Celtics, Kings, late night hammer here, 224 over under. We do not have a spread at the moment because I think they're kind of taking into account Kemba Walker being ruled out. Roby, yeah, no, I wouldn't go to Roby. So let's start with, let's go team by team here, and we'll start off with Philadelphia and Charlotte. So on the Philadelphia side, there's one guy and one guy only for me, and that's Joel Embiid at 10K. And I don't know if he's going to be super popular on this slate. There's a lot of good spin ups, a lot of good, cheaper plays, but Embiid's a guy that he is in play every single slate, just like Steph Curry is, because like he's got 70 plus fantasy point upside. So he can go for 70 basically any single game. The matchup is pretty solid here. So it's like, yes, I do like Embiid at the top. Is he a priority for me? Not necessarily a priority, but he's a guy that could break the slate. So he's always in play for me. When Embiid is healthy, there's just no one else I'm going to on Philly. Moving on to the Charlotte side. So this is a team that I think actually looks pretty good. So Gordon Hayward, not so much. LaMelo Ball is the guy for me at 7K. With no Terry Rozier, he got in severe foul trouble last game. So missed out on a good amount of minutes. I expect with him starting to kind of play the minutes that Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier have been playing, which is, 37, 38 minutes a game in a close game. So if we get a close game, I expect those type of minutes. If he gets 38 minutes, I mean, we've seen what he can do in like 25 to 30. 46 fancy points in 26 minutes. 53 fancy points in 31 minutes, right? So it's like he's a good point per minute guy. As long as there's no foul trouble and this game stays close, I expect over 35 minutes from LaMelo Ball. And I do like him a good amount here at the top. I think people might be a little bit of a like box score watch and kind of look elsewhere. But again, foul trouble for LaMelo Ball. Even though it's not necessarily the best matchup, I do like him a lot at his price. Would rather get to Ball than Devontae Graham. Cody Zeller is in play. I do kind of have a rule. I don't like targeting centers. There's a few centers I don't like targeting opposing centers on, and that's just because foul trouble concerns, right? I do not like targeting centers against Joel Embiid because of the foul trouble issue. So, like, if I knew Cody Zeller was going to stay out of foul trouble, I would like him a lot more tonight, but it's just like, I don't really know if I want to risk it on the 10-game slate. Last guy I'll mention here is Miles Bridges at 4.6. He's starting. He's already been playing, mid to high 20s minutes. I'm guessing with him starting, if the game stays close, he probably pushes for over 30, maybe 35. So, like, yeah, at 4.6, I do kind of like Miles Bridges for value. You can take a shot at Malik Monk. Be careful here, though. I personally feel like it's kind of chasing going to Malik Monk. He won for 48 fantasy points, shot the ball lights out. Had a decent game last time out, too. But he's also, again, been shooting really, really well. I think normally we're probably going to get about 20-ish minutes from Malik Monk. He played 40 the last game. Again, more of an outlier. Also, we had LaMelo Ball foul trouble. So it's like, just be careful with Monk. I think he's still solid value, but like, if he's going to be really, really popular, I'm fine going to. There's a ton of other plays in the slate we can look to. All right, Pacers and Bucks. So if you think this game stays competitive, I mean, Domantas Sabonis at 8.3, I don't know what DraftKings was thinking with this price. He won for 60 yesterday. There is some ball risk, though, right? A 9-point spread. We also have Miles Turner questionable. If he misses, that's even a bigger boost to Sabonis. But, if you think the game stays close, I think getting either Sabonis or Brogdon in your lineup is not a bad way to go. Brogdon, revenge game narrative. So, both Brogdon and Sabonis I do like at their respective prices. Got to monitor the status of Miles Turner. Let's see. Do we have any more news? Not yet. So, Turner, if he plays, probably not going to get to him. If he misses, I'm curious to see what they do with the starting lineup. Do they move, one of those wings in there? I know Goga has been playing a little bit off the bench. Like, maybe there's an outside chance they start him. I don't think that would happen, but maybe. So, we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Like, Jeremy Lamb has been my favorite wing. I think he plays around 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more if Turner's out. You could go to him, but it's like not a great price. So, really, all in all, it's Sabonis and Brogdon for me at the top. And the Milwaukee side, surprisingly, there's just not a lot of like here. I think Giannis is fine at the top, but I probably prefer other plays for cheaper. It's not necessarily the best match against the Pacers. I mean, Giannis isn't play every slate, but like I'm not going to go to him in this one, I don't think. And there's just no one else I would take a shot on. So that's pretty easy for Indiana and Milwaukee. Let's move on to Dallas and Atlanta. Real quick, though, before I do, guys, if you could hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Already over at the 8,000 subscriber mark, so I want to thank you guys again. And hitting that like button does really help me out. We're still waiting on Drummond news. Yeah, we're still waiting on Drummond. Obviously, if he's out, Jared Allen's a good play. So moving on to Dallas. I like the matchup here. I think Luka is going to fly under the radar in this slate. Like, he's gone for, 4 straight games under 50 fantasy points, but I kind of like that. Like, I kind of like, we might get like, what, 5-10% on Luka against Atlanta. That seems really good to me. I know he's been, not the best recently, but like, the upside is 80 plus with Luka. So I do like him actually a good amount there at the top. I think Porzingis is a good tournament play. I don't think a lot of people get to him. Again, there's 10 games and there's like a lot of solid plays. So like, I just think these Dallas guys go a little bit lower owned. But I like the upside in both in this matchup. Value-wise, there's a couple guys I'll mention. Jay Rich and Dorian Finney-Smith. Now, do we have to go there? I don't think these guys are a must because, again, there's a lot of good value. But, like, Jay Rich should play mid-30s minutes. He went for 40 last slate. We're not going to get 40 again, but, like, he's a guy that can get the peripherals, can get, some rebounds, maybe a few assists. It's a good matchup, up-tempo game. So, like, Jay Rich, I think, is a decent value play. Don't mind DFS either. Low usage guy, but he'll probably play mid-30s minutes. So, those two value guys for Dallas, I think, are in play on this one. On the Atlanta side, there's really only one guy of interest in, and it's Trae Young for GPPs. I think he's had, 7 straight games above 50 fantasy points. He continues to go low-owned. He'll be low-owned once again here, but the upside is really high with Trae. You can definitely run a Luka Trae stack for GPPs. I think that's a good, tournament build. But it's Trae for GPPs, and that is it. New York and Chicago, so it's the same guys for me. We just saw this matchup, right? It's Randall, it's Quickly, it's Nerlens Noel. Randall at 9-1, he was not popular last slate. I don't think he's going to be popular again this slate. He did play 39 minutes. I expect somewhere around 35 to 40. Again, I love targeting players against this Bulls team, especially the front court. I do like Julius Randle a good amount, and I like Emmanuel Quickly a lot for GPPs. Now, can I go there in like a cash game setting? Probably not, but the minutes are slowly trending up. He's an aggressive player. I do have some interest in him for tournaments. Nerlens Noel is the last guy I'll mention. The minutes have been trending up for him, 25 and 28 in the last couple games. Decent point per minute guy. There's a lot of decent, good center plays in the slate, so I don't think Noel is going to be popular. But I think you could throw him in the mix, throw him in the player pool for a tournament, a contrarian play. On the Chicago side, there's one guy and one guy only, and that's Thad Young again. I liked Thad last slate. Unfortunately, I pivoted off him, and that cost me the other day. But he should get about 30 minutes playing the center. He's almost had a triple-double in the last 3 games. So I think Thad Young is still a good play at this price point. I don't think there's anyone else I would get to. Like Zach LaVine's at 8.5. He's been their best player, but on this slate, New York plays slower, so I don't want to spend up for someone. I'd rather, if I'm going to play someone, rather play someone a little bit cheaper like Thad Young. All right, Clippers and Cavs. I'll keep this pretty quick. I have zero interest in the Clippers. Kawhi and Paul George, I think, are contrarian options at the top. Reggie Jackson, I guess, would be someone you could look to. Did play 35 minutes the last game. If you think he gets mid-30s minutes again, you can look to him. But really, there's just not a ton I'm confident in on the Clippers side. On the Cavs side, it depends on Drummond news. So right now, Drummond is questionable. If Drummond plays, I think he's a decent tournament play because he can get it done in 30-ish minutes. He played 33 the last game he played. If Drummond is out, I think Jarrett Allen becomes one of the better plays in the slate. As long as his game stays close, he probably plays over 30 minutes. He played 35 last game. He went for 23 and 18 and 5 blocks. We're not going to get that again, but I still would like Jarrett Allen a good amount if Andre Drummond is out. And then with no Larry Nance, I think you can throw Taurean Prince into the mix. There's a lot of good value on the slate, so I'm not saying Taurean Prince is a must play, but I think probably around 30 minutes. He went for 30 fantasy points last game. I think he would be in consideration for value. All right, let's refresh. Let's make sure we're up to date here. We are at 320 viewers, 53 likes. I appreciate that, guys. I'll get to questions at the end here, so do not worry. All right, Washington and Miami. So Washington side, we're still waiting on starting line news, so it's a little bit hard to say right now. I think Brad Beal is going to be pretty popular. Now, my one concern with Brad Beal is I'm not confident this Washington team can keep it close. I think there is a better than 50% chance I think this game does not stay close. No, it's only 9.5 or something? What is it? 9.5 point spread. I mean, it's just tough because if Washington stays in this game, we are probably going to see a big game from Brad Beal. But if he's going to be really, really popular, I'm fine looking elsewhere and just hoping this game does not stay close. So it's a tough one here. It's a tough one. If it does stay close, you'll probably see a pretty big game from Beal. Obviously, if the game blows out, he's gonna bust. So it's just, are you confident with Washington team? That's what I'll ask you that. Are you? If you're confident that this team can keep this game close, Brad Beal at the top, I think he looks for one of the better spend ups of the slate. But personally, I have some questions here. I do not think this roster is great. Now, we're still waiting on starting lineup news, so I'm guessing it's me, Ish Smith or Cassius Winston. I personally have like a hunch that they're going to go Cassius Winston. They kind of like using Ish Smith off the bench. He's played 24 and 27 minutes. We'll see. If he starts, I actually think he could push for over 30, and I would like him better if he starts. Like, we'll just have to keep an eye on the starting lineup news. As far as these like fringe guys, I honestly don't know if we have to go there. I don't. I would rather play the OKC value. I would rather play some other value plays we already went over. So it's like, yes, you can take a shot on one of these fringe guys if you want to, with like Rui or Bertans or Garrison Matthews, and maybe Jerome Robinson gets in the rotation, or maybe there's a lot of guys here that you can like look to, or Denny. Denny had a good game last game. I have no confidence in him though, so it's just like probably at least one or two of those value guys will have a good game, but I don't want to risk it on this 10-game slate, so I'm going to stay away. On the Miami side, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, I think are in play at the top. I think they're more tournament plays for the reason of, again, I'm not confident this Washington team can keep it close. So that's the risk. If they do, if you're playing Jimmy or Bam, run it back with Beal, right? That's the build, right? Because if this game stays close, you will most likely see a pretty big game from either Jimmy or Bam because of the fantastic matchup. And if the game does stay close, Brad Beal will most likely be the reason why. So Jimmy, Bam in play if you think Washington can keep it close. Moving on, Houston and OKC. So this game I think is going to be the most popular game on the slate. And I agree. I think it's for good reason. It should be the most popular game on the slate. No John Wall, Victor Oladipo at 7-8. We're probably going to get point Victor Oladipo. I think he makes for a good spend up little revenge game. Now, my one concern is, sure, both those games have been blowouts, last two. But he was only on pace for like 30 minutes. So this is another situation where how many minutes we get from Oladipo changes everything. If we get 30 minutes out of Victor Oladipo, I think he's fine. Could still get there. If we get 37 minutes out of Victor Oladipo, I think he's one of the best plays in the slate. So this is one where it's like, okay, know the risk. If you play Victor Oladipo, I think there's a chance he maybe only plays 30 minutes. If he gets the higher end, if he plays 37, 38 minutes, I think there's a really good chance he could have an amazing day at this price. So this is one, it kind of depends on how many minutes he gets. But I do like the upside with him running the point guard. Christian Wood, I personally think there's a lot of good center plays in the slate. And it's like not saying Wood can't get there, but he's only going to play like 31 to 32 minutes. So it's like, I don't know if I'm going to do it. Now, Eric Gordon is the last guy we'll mention at 5'4". He should play probably around 30 minutes. We'll have to do more offensively. My one concern with Eric Gordon is he's very reliant on the scoring. So if his shot is not falling, he does have a somewhat low floor. But I think he's the other guy I would look to. Now, can you make the argument for Jayshawn Tate, Danuel House? Yeah, I think you could. But you got to ask yourself, there's a lot of good value on the slate. Are you going to play these guys, these value plays, like the number 4, number 5 option on Houston over those Oklahoma City Thunder value, who are going to be like going to have to do way more with their high usage guy out of the offense? That's what you got to ask yourself that. So moving on to OKC, kind of hinted, yeah, I really like this team. No SGA. I think Al Horford, I don't know if he's going to be that popular in the slate. I think he's one of my favorite tournament plays on the board. I really like Al Horford. He is finally turning it on here. Last 3 games he has played, 49, 37 in a blowout, and 31 in a blowout. So if those 2 games stay close, he probably pushed it for 40 plus in both of those. I don't think people are going to get to Al Horford on this slate. I think that's a mistake. I really like Horford for tournaments. A guy that can stuff a stat sheet. I love the matchup against Houston, against Christian Wood and Boogie Cousins. There's no Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's going to have to do more offensively. Love Horford for tournaments. I think he goes overlooked. I think people are going to focus on these value plays, and I think that's good value, but they're just going to overlook Al Horford. I think is really, really good tournament play. Darius Bazley at 5'2", I like a lot. He should play about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more. Again, with no SGA, he's going to have to do more offensively. Literally every single starter in this team. So Maladon, I'm guessing he'll play more of the point guard now with no SGA. Probably plays over 30 minutes. I think he's one of the better value plays in the slate. I think Lou Dort is going to be popular. My one concern with Lou Dort, a little bit scoring dependent. If he's not hitting his shots, there's a somewhat low floor. But we've seen a couple of big upside games from him, right? Now, sure, 6 steals, right? Game where he shot the ball well. So Lou Dort is, I would say, like a little bit more of a riskier value play, but he's going to be popular. I think he's fine as well. And then Hamidou Diallo, if he starts, I think he's one of the best value plays if he starts. He's been a really solid point per minute guy coming out the bench, but for some reason, they've just been limiting his minutes. They've been playing him like 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know why, but the coach just doesn't seem to want to give him more minutes. Now, if he does not start here, I am worried he only plays like 15 to 20 minutes. If he does, I don't have a ton of interest there. So it's like a little bit tricky. But if he starts, I think he could push for over 30 minutes, which would make him one of the best value plays in the slate. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that starting lineup news. And then as far as the guys off the bench, or maybe they start one of these guys, right? Who else will they start if they don't start Diallo? I think maybe like Jackson or Miller, right? They have a couple of fringe guys they could use. I think Justin Jackson has actually started one game this year. So if he starts at min price, yeah, sure, why not? You could throw him in there. I think he'd be a decent value play. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that Oklahoma City Thunder new starting lineup news. But really, I like basically all the starters. If Diallo starts, I like Maledon, Dort, Diallo, Baze, and Horford. It's just a great matchup. And they're missing their highest usage guy. So let's refresh this. Let's make sure we're up to date. We are. All right, last 3 games here. We got over 400 viewers already, 68 likes. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Moving on to Minnesota and San Antonio. So Minnesota, this team's going to go a little bit lower owned. Still no Cat. Don't really have interest in the bigs with Naz Reid healthy. The guys I do have some interest in, D'Lo, Malik Beasley, and Anthony Edwards, I think are all okay tournament plays. The issue with D'Angelo Russell right now is he's only playing about 30 minutes. Now, he can still get it done. He's gone for 29 and 30 last couple games, so it's like, yeah, it's not amazing, but like this is a good matchup. We've seen a couple of big games from D'Angelo Russell in limited times. Like, I think he's fine for tournaments. I think he goes overlooked. Same thing with Beasley. And kind of the same with Anthony Edwards. Like, these are none of these guys are priorities for me, but like if you're going kind of a stack in this game, which I don't think is bad because I do like the San Antonio side a lot, and you want to run it back with one of these guys for tournaments, I think that's fine. I definitely think that's viable. On the San Antonio side, so this is one of my favorite teams to target. It's scary. I know Popovich is the coach. It's just I never really feel confident targeting these Spurs. But no LaMarcus Aldridge, no Rudy Gay. Man, I really like this San Antonio's team. And we'll start with DeMar DeRozan at 6.9K. So we got popped two games ago. It was the third game in 4 nights. I think that's the only reason why he played limited minutes. 3 and 4 games ago, 34 and 36 minutes. That last game, he was on pace for about 35, and the game blew out. So I'm expecting about 35 minutes from DeMar DeRozan. It's literally probably the best matchup on the slate against this Minnesota team. I really like DeMar at his price. I really like DeJounte Murray at 6'4", and I think DeJounte Murray might go a little bit overlooked. Also, again, everyone kind of had off games the last game. I'm not super worried about it. This is a guy that probably plays around 30 minutes, and we've seen some big games from him. I do like DeJounte Murray, and I do like Keldon Johnson now with no Aldridge and no Rudy Gay. I think he might have to play a little bit more. Maybe we get, instead of like 31 minutes, maybe we get 35 from Keldon. And he's gone for 34, 38, and 48 fantasy points in 3 of the last 4 games. Now, sure, he has had a little bit of a floor, right? We've seen floor games from Keldon, so it's like, that's there. It's a viable, it can happen. But really, those top 3 guys, I'm really high on all 3. Now, depending on the starting lineup news, we'll see. I think they can start Jakob Poeltl, or maybe they start Trey Lyles. Whoever starts at the 5, I would like. If Trey Lyles starts at min price, I think you could use him as a punt play. If Jakob Poeltl starts, I think he's a good value play. Now, my one concern with Jakob Poeltl is when LMA was out, I want to say a few weeks ago, three weeks ago maybe, he started and he would only play about 20 minutes. Now, they're missing Rudy Gay too, another bigger player in this lineup. So like Minnesota is, I would say kind of a bigger team. Still no Cap, but they have what? Naz Reid, they have Ed Davis, they have Vanderbilt. So it's like, sure, they could go a little bit smaller, but like this is one, kind of the same thing with Victor Oladipo, right? How many minutes we get from Poeltl is obviously a big deal. I'm not sure what Popovich is going to do here. If he starts and plays like 22 minutes, I think he's fine value. If he starts and plays over 30 minutes, you're probably going to need him on the slate. So, I'm right. It's like how many minutes we get from Poeltl is kind of up in the air. But decent point per minute guy. Love the matchup. I think Poeltl firmly in play, just dependent on how many minutes we do get. And that's it for San Antonio. So 2 games left. Let's see. Let's refresh this. Oh, refresh. Whoops. I refreshed DraftKings and not Fantasy Labs because I'm kind of out of it right now. Okay. So let's finish up the last 2 games here. Phoenix and New Orleans. So Chris Paul, I'm gonna let others chase that. I don't think we get 62 again with Devin Booker back. I know he had a great game, I know, but I'm just gonna pass on Chris Paul. I'm gonna pass on Devin Booker too. The one guy I do have interest in is DeAndre Ayton, and this is strictly dependent on whether or not Steven Adams plays. If Steven Adams plays, I'm not getting Ayton. If Steven Adams is out, I think DeAndre Ayton is a pretty sneaky tournament play because he's going to be matched up against Jackson Hayes and Guillermo Hernan-Gomez. Should be able to feast against them. Now, I said the same thing about 2 weeks ago against one of the worst players in the NBA in Robin Lopez. And Robin Lopez took DeAndre Ayton to school. So there's been games, right, against OKC. Was really high on him there. Completely busts. Or was it the OKC or maybe it was Golden State? I forget. One of his games, I think it was the OKC game. Like after like he had like huge games, good matchup, he completely busts and then comes back out and goes to like 50. So like he's been up and down, but like if Adams is out, I think you could look to him for tournaments. On the New Orleans side, Ingram, Zion, secondary play, same with Bledsoe. I think Lonzo Ball would be the guy for me if I had to pick one. Probably should play over 30 minutes. I think that's a decent play at his price. Steven Adams, if he plays and there's no limitations, I think he's a safe play. If he's out, we can look to either Jackson Hayes or Guillermo Hernan-Gomez for value. Jackson Hayes got in severe foul trouble, only played 11 minutes. Hernan-Gomez is a good offensive player, played 29 minutes, had a double-double, 32 fantasy points. So you could look to either of them. I expect if Adams is out, we'd probably get a somewhat even split, like maybe 20 minutes and 20 minutes or something around that, which would make both those guys, intriguing value plays. Finishing up with Boston and Sacramento. So Boston's a team I really like today. I love targeting players against the Kings. They're missing 2 of the top players in Kemba Walker and Marcus Smart. Tatum and Brown, I think, are 2 of the best spend ups of the slate. Love them both here in this matchup. Tatum below 9K, Jaylen Brown below 8K. I really, really like both these Boston guys. And Jeff Teague, if he starts at point guard, they're thin at the guard position. They are thin. So if he starts at point guard, I'm guessing we probably get at least mid-20s minutes, maybe more. I would like Teague a good amount if he starts in this matchup. And then I even like the bigs too. Like Boston's a team I am really, really high on today. I think Daniel Tice at 4.8. I think that's a little bit too cheap. We probably get, around 25 to 30 minutes from him. Good matchup. I also like Tristan Thompson. This is a bigger Sacramento team. Tristan Thompson started and played 25 minutes. If he starts again, I expect mid-20s minutes from him at 3.7. I think he's a pretty decent value play. You could always take a shot on Robert Williams. The minutes fluctuate on him. Some games he'll play close to 20. Some games he'll barely play. Last game he barely played because Golden State went small ball. So Boston went to Grant Williams, who I feel like people might try to chase. I think that is a big mistake. Grant Williams is a pretty low usage guy. The Sacramento team is big. I think Robert Williams plays over Grant Williams. So if I had to pick one of the Williams, I would rather take the shot on Robert Williams for tournaments. But yeah, all in all, I am really high in Boston. Tatum, Brown, Teague if he starts, Tice, Thompson, all look good here in just a fantastic matchup. Finally, Sacramento. Fox, interesting contrarian tournament play. Went for a huge game last time out. Hield, Holmes, Barnes, I'll pass. If I had to pick one, Bagley, I'll pass. If I had to pick one in this range, it would be Barnes because he's flashed the most upside recently. Halliburton, I'll pass on. There's too many good guard plays in the minutes. He only played 10 minutes in the first half of that last game. If it wasn't for the Bagley ejection, he might have only played about 20 minutes, which is concerning. Last guy I'll mention, Whiteside's always a viable value play in tournaments to get different. Probably plays about 15-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more if Holmes gets some foul trouble. So that's it for my breakdown, guys. So really, the teams I like the best today, Sacramento, San Antonio, OKC. I think those are the teams I'm the highest on for this slate. All right, so let's refresh this and let's get to some questions. Yeah, by no means, like if Jeff Teague doesn't start, I'm not looking to him. Like if he does not start, I am not playing Jeff Teague. If he starts, I think he's someone we could look to. DeJounte Murray and Tatum or Brogdon and DeRozan, that's a good question. I think I would rather have the first, but it's close. I like Horford tonight for sure. Rockets, yeah, I mean, I think Horford is going to fly under the radar. I mean, we kind of know, right? The Thunder are going to be popular today, so it's like those value guys are going to be popular. I just think that people overlook them. Yeah, people are hating on Jeff Teague. Again, you for sure do not need to play Jeff Teague. Going LaMelo, Oladipo, DeRozan, Sabonis, Horford, Diallo, Bridges, and Poeltl. I think it's a good lineup. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. Again, like it's not like if Teague was like 3-5, I would like really like him on the slate. He's 4-7. So again, by no means is he someone that we have to prioritize. I would prioritize one of the main guys first for sure. Pick one for GPP. Woods, Sabonis, Randall, or Zion. Sabonis. Halliburton quickly or Gordon for GPP quickly. Values, probably those Thunder guys. LaMelo, Oladipo, Brown, Thad Young, Sabonis, Maladon, Tyson, Monk, and Cash. Monk's the one guy I'm a little bit like, I don't know. I don't know what to make of Malik Monk. He had a really good shooting game. I have a little bit of an uneasy feeling about him. I think you could play him, but like, yeah, how many Thunder guys are too many? If Diallo starts, no. If Diallo starts, you can definitely play 3. No lineups, but like I'll give. So what I offer on Patreon are I'll do a private roster construction video for each main slate and for each showdown slate, and then I do a Excel doc with player pool, core plays, and if then statements for injuries. So like if this player's out, then this, and then finally I do the Patreon live stream telling everyone exactly where I'm going, and then answer questions as well. Theo or Diallo. So if Diallo starts, I'd rather have Diallo. If Diallo does not start, I'd rather have Theo. Tice is starting, right? Yeah, I'm guessing he starts. DeRozan or Jaylen Brown. I mean, I like them both a lot. I guess I'll take the discount of DeRozan, but they're two of my favorite plays in the slate. Tatum and Bazley or Porzingis and Collins. Tatum and Bazley. LaMelo, Horford. I think Horford's a little bit safer, but like if you can get to LaMelo Ball. Favorite OKC values. Again, those guard. Like basically the whole starting lineup. So Diallo if he starts, Maladon, Bazley, and Dort. All those guys. Then maybe if like they don't start Diallo, if like they start Justin Jackson or something like that, then you could look to him for value. Does LaMelo get a blowout run? I'm not sure. I think there's a chance he might, but I'm not convinced about that. Miles Bridges, Jakob Poeltl, it's a tough one right now, right? Because we don't know for sure if Poeltl's starting. If he does start, we're not convinced he's going to get the minutes. I think if things go right, Poeltl has more upside. So like if Poeltl plays like, let's just say both of them play 30 minutes, obviously like most likely Poeltl's going to have the way better game. But like it's just a matter of does he get the minutes. So it's a tough one to answer. Do you prefer Sabonis or Jimmy? Sabonis. First 3 games, it's Embiid on the Philly side. It's LaMelo and Bridges on the Charlotte side. It's Sabonis and Brogdon on the Pacers side. I think Giannis is all right. And then the stars for Dallas and Trae Young. So really, like basically all the main guys and like and Bridges. Yeah, for me, so it depends, right? Both those games have blowout risk with Domantas Sabonis and Jimmy Butler. So my answer to that would be, which game are you more confident stays close? If you're more confident the Pacers keep it close, go Sabonis. If you're confident that Washington can keep that game close, then go Jimmy. But yeah, 8-3 for Sabonis, especially if Miles Turner is out. I mean, and that game, if we get 40 minutes of Sabonis at 8-3, I have a hard time seeing him failing. Just if he starts, I think he would be a fine value. Tatum or Randall? Tatum. No, I don't think Thad's a lock, but I think he's a good play. Wood or Sabonis? Sabonis. Turner's in, thoughts? Okay, so Turner's in. I mean, I still have interest in Sabonis and Brogdon, right? If they're going to keep that game close, we're going to have to see big games from them. It's a revenge game from Brogdon. I think that with Turner in, that just takes the fringe guys out of play for me. For the late slate, is Fox, Tatum, Brown at 8 in your core? I mean, I haven't looked at like the late slate, so like, but yeah, I would prioritize probably both those Boston guys. Fox, Richardson, DeRozan, Bridges, Embiid, Reddish, Holiday, and Zeller. I don't love it. I'm not really super on Fox on the slate against Boston. I mean, he can get there. Not really on Reddish, not really on Holiday. Everyone else are fine. Derek White, you can do it for value. I think I prefer the OKC value plays, but like you could look to him. Brown or Oladipo, again, that's a tough one. Depends on if Oladipo gets more minutes, right? Because he was only on pace for about 30 last couple games. If Oladipo plays 37 tonight, I would probably slightly prefer him. But right now the minutes are a little bit more in question for Oladipo, so I guess give me Jaylen Brown. Prince or Bridges, they're both solid value plays. They're solid, but I don't love either. I'll go Bridges, I guess. No, Rozier's out. No, I'm going to pass him Patrick Williams there. I know Otto Porter's out, but it's like I just think there's so many good value plays on this slate that, I mean, sure, you can play him. He'll probably play mid-20s minutes. He just is like kind of a low-usage guy. You can give a look to him. Again, there's a ton of value plays in the slate. So you can make an argument for a lot of guys. Small forward for 4,500. It would be Hamidou Diallo if he starts. Yeah, if Drummond's out, I think Jarrett Allen becomes one of the better plays in the slate. Yeah, Beal is, again, it's just a question of are you confident that Washington can keep it close? If you are, I think Beal looks like a good option because he will most likely have a big game. I personally have my doubts. With no Westbrook, we've seen Washington almost get blown out a couple times with Westbrook in. It's just, I don't know. It's a tough one. Drummond is playing. Okay, yeah, so Drummond playing, that takes Jarrett Allen completely out of play for me. I think you could look to Drummond as a tournament option. He's going to be low owned this slate. If we get 30 minutes from him, you could see 50 plus. So yeah, Drummond's a viable GPP play. Dort or Theo, I'd rather have Theo. Victor, Beal, Sabonis, how's that sound? I think that looks solid. Tice or Pirtle, again, kind of depends on minutes. I think Tice is a little bit safer right now. We kind of know his role, 25 to 30 minutes, where Pirtle still loaded up in the air. Yeah, I think Jeff Teague's a play. Beal or Luka, again, if you're confident Washington keeps it close, the price is probably a little bit better on Beal. But Luka, I have way more confidence that game stays competitive. No on Muscala. Ish and Rui. I think Ish would be viable if he starts. Rui, no. I'm not going to do it. Monk with Rozier out. Again, you can go to Monk. I'm a little bit worried he's going to be pretty popular after the big game last game. I'm a little bit hesitant on him, but I think if you landed him, that's okay. Like I personally would probably rather have the OKC value, but that's just me. Tater House. I don't love either. I guess House. Yeah, I mean, again, there is a chance that game does not stay close, right? There's a lot of these games. It's a 10-game slate, so it's like, yes, you got to hope. Obviously, if you play players in a blowout, you're going to lose. So it's like you have to avoid the blowout. On a 10-game slate, got to be hesitant in some spots. And one of the spots I'm hesitant in is Washington. I am a little bit scared that game does not stay close. Teague or Ball. Iguodala in a blowout? No, he wouldn't play in a blowout. No thank you on Lonnie Walker. LaMelo priority. I think he's one of the better plays in the slate. Eric Gordon's in play. Should play about 30 minutes. Should shoot the ball more. My one concern is he is scoring dependent. With Kemba out value, again, Teague, if he starts, I think Teague would be the guy that probably plays mid-20s minutes, but he's not like super, super cheap. We have Tristan Thompson. I like if he starts again for value, and Tice. D'Lo is fine for tournaments. Beal or Trae Young. I think the upside, I mean, both have pretty big upside, but like, I guess I'd go Beal there. Just because like his whole team is out, or like, I mean, not his whole team, but like it's going to be basically him and that's it, where Trae Young actually has a supporting cast. Middleton or Hayward, I wouldn't play either on this slate. Best spend up center, probably Joel Embiid for me. Yeah, Embiid. Denny and Butler or DeMar Ish? DeMar Ish. Yeah, I think Eric Gordon's pretty good. DeJounte or LaMelo? I mean, if LaMelo plays like 35 plus minutes, I think it's going to be LaMelo. I'm guessing we get those minutes. Again, it's not like fully convinced about that. So like, I guess if I had to pick, I would go LaMelo. Capella, George, or Wood. I don't like any of them on this slate. Would Ish play in a blowout? No. Run back with Luka or Fade in a tougher spot. I mean, I think Luka's a decent, play at the top. I think he goes overlooked today. Maledon, Beal, Butler, DeRozan, Daniel Tice, Gordon, Diallo, and Horford. I think it's a good lineup. Yeah, I mean, you're obviously with that lineup, you're banking on Washington keeping it close. Oladipo, Brown, Butler, or Porzingis, pick three. Brown for sure. Oladipo for sure. And then depends on if you think Washington can keep it close. I kind of like Porzingis as a contrarian play. I do kind of like Porzingis. I mean, Butler, again, Jimmy Butler has a ton of upside. I voiced my concerns about that Washington team. All Heat guards available to play? Okay. Yeah, I think there's so many good ways to go. Any appealing 3K range values? I mean, how cheap do you want to go, right? Because, like, depends. If one of those guys start for OKC, those, like, mid-price guys, then, yeah, you can look to them. I mean, there's not a ton down here. I mean, we have, like, backup centers. I mean, not JaVale McGee anymore, but, like, we have, like, Whiteside that you can use. Again, you can make the argument for Patrick Williams, no Otto Porter. I think he's okay, actually. Tristan Thompson, I think he's a pretty safe play if he starts. I actually do kind of like Tristan Thompson for value. Iguodala, if you think Washington can keep it close. And then you have those New Orleans centers, like if Steven Adams is out. Pirtle or Bridges is tough. Yeah, it's a tough one too. I agree. Like I said, if things go right, I think the upside is higher in Jakob Pirtle. So, like, if things go right for Bridges, we probably, get 32, 33 minutes? And he's not going to be, like, a super, super high usage guy in the offense, whereas if things go right for Jakob Pirtle and we get over 30 minutes from him, you could see him having a really big game there against that Minnesota front court. Yeah, Teague Diallo. So right now it's Diallo if he starts. If Diallo does not start, I'm not as excited about him. Take out of Luka, Giannis, or Embiid? Probably Giannis, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's not really the best matchup there for the Melo Ball, but he's a really good point per minute guy, and if we get 35 plus minutes, I don't care about the matchup. Finney Smith or Lonnie Walker? DFS, I guess. Tice or Bridges? That's a good question. I'll go Tice. That's almost a coin flip for me. I would not play Isaac. I don't play Isaac Okoro. 6,600 for utility. Who should I go for? Let's see. All right, couple more questions, guys. Then I do have to get out of here. 6,600 and utility. Okay, so Jarrett Allen's out of play. I'm not playing Buddy Hield. I'm not playing Devontae Graham. I'm not really interested in RJ Barrett. I would play DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray or Keldon Johnson or Horford. So one of those Spurs guys or Horford is probably where I would go. Small forward under 5K. All right. This is the last question that I do have to get out here. Thank you guys for everyone coming to check it out. The live stream, 5K and small forward. I would say right now, probably either Prince or Bridges. Bridges is in not really the best matchup. I mean, neither is Prince. I would say one of those two wings. Or you can go Jay Rich. So there's like three options. I don't have like a really strong take on like which one of these guys I love, but like, yeah, Bridges, Josh Richardson, and Taurean Prince are probably the guys I would consider. All right, guys. Thanks again. Diallo is starting. Okay, so Diallo is starting. Gotta like Hamidou Diallo there, in my opinion. He's already, like, with him starting, I don't know, probably get close to 30 minutes. So, yeah, gotta really like Diallo there. Pretty high in the Oklahoma City team. Again, lastly, before I get out of here, the teams I like the best: Boston, San Antonio, Oklahoma City. Good luck to everyone tonight, guys, and I'll see you all back here Thursday.